What's going on, guys? Michael with MMA Island here with UFC middleweight Trevin Giles. Trevin, man, I appreciate you for taking the time to join. Man, a lot of things to ask you. First, I'm going to ask you, how does it feel to get the win?
It feels great, man. Anytime you can get a UFC victory is always great. So I feel good about it.
Definitely. Just to start you off, man, this is one thing that finding out about you. You're a police officer and a fighter at the same time. So, how much of your time in percentage would you say is considered free time for you?
Um, uh, Man, probably like 5%, five, maybe 10. I'll push it to 10. Um, but yeah, I'm busy all the time, man. Even whenever I have days off from work, I'm in the gym, and same thing, vice versa. So I'm hardly ever getting a break.
Exactly, and another thing, being a father now, you have a son that's turning 2 soon. How has fatherhood been for you?
It's been great, man. I don't get to see him nearly as much as I want. Especially when fights do come up and I end up having to travel, and we got COVID and all that stuff going on. So it's been a little rough in that regard, but I love him, man. Every second I can spend with him is great.
And I've heard fighters, I think the first one that comes to mind for anyone is probably Donald Cerrone, say that how fatherhood really changes them as a fighter. Can you say that's true for you?
No, not really. For me, it's different. I like to keep those things separate. I don't like to let anything get me too emotional about the sport. That way I can be in there and I can be thinking with a clear head. Um, and if it works for Cerrone, that's great. Obviously, it does work for him. But for me, I like to keep it separate. I feel like it's a little less stress, and I can be a little more clear headed while I'm fighting.
Yeah, and just going to talk about the fight. I heard you say in your post-fight interview that you're not a big fan of going to decision. You don't like that the last time you were out there you went to decision. I think a lot of people appreciate that mindset. But for you personally, why is it important for you to go out there and get finishes compared to winning from the judges?
Well, for me, it feels like to me that's always just been my mindset. Since I started, when just even starting off as an amateur, started off real strong, got a bunch of finishes. Same thing as a pro, went on a very long streak of being undefeated. It For me, it just feels like it's our obligation as fighters. We of course the judges are a part of the fight game. But when it's really just me and that other guy in there competing. So I feel like one of us has to get the finish. That's why we're there. We're not there to hope that the judges will think that we won. That's like, I mean, that's as weird as having a street fight and then asking the crowd like, "Hey, who do you guys think won?" Right? Like we don't really want an opinion. We don't want that opinion. We want to go ahead and get that finish. And we don't want any questions to be able to be asked after that. So that's always just the best way to go, and it's more entertaining too.
Definitely. And getting a finish off a guy, Bavon Lewis, man, uh, that dude is huge for middleweight. I know they mentioned on the broadcast that he used to fight at welterweight, which I think is insane. But his size, is that something that you really took into play? Did you have to change your game plan going into it for that reason with him being so long? And I even heard you mention fighting as a John Jones type style.
hmm Yeah, he was interesting though. I mean, just like I mean, not really comparing them to John Jones, but as
Yeah.
far as their frame goes, and as far as their the way that they fight is you would think that they'd be more rangy, right? They're long, and you would think that there'd be a lot of jabs popped out there, a lot of front kicks and stuff like that. They both like to play with the legs a lot, but other than that, they kind of like the close game, to clinch up and stuff like that. So it's just interesting, right? Because on one hand, it's like, okay, I'm the shorter guy, so I should want to fight and come in on the inside, but with guys like that, it's just weird, right? Because they have the tools to beat you up on the outside, but they also have them on the inside. So honestly, for me, it was just I just knew to keep pressure on him. He didn't look like he had great boxing. Anytime I watched him on film, he didn't look like he could fight good off of his back foot. And he looked like he was just comfortable pressing everybody against the cage. So I knew if I made it something that was different than what he's seen, then it would make him tired, and and his game plan would fall apart.
Well, now I think it's time for everyone to hop on the Trevin Giles jab train. I really, really appreciated what you said from coming from a striking background, being the build yourself behind the jab. I love that mindset, and coaches love throwing that around, and you really brought yourself to that. But just to talk about, we talked about Lewis's size. Obviously, you're the winner. Uh, is it nice to shut people up? Because like I think I watched your like fight predictions leading up into your video, leading up into your fight, and everyone, anytime that they picked against you, the main thing they said was your size. They couldn't pinpoint an actual attribute that you had outside of that. So is it? Have you heard that before? People talking about your size, saying you're small for the division.
Yeah, I hear people say that. For me, I don't care, man. I mean, I've never cared about somebody talking on my side. I mean, every time everybody I've fought has pretty much been bigger than me, with the exception of Kraus, and even he was taller than me, so which is crazy. But it seems like it's kind of becoming a tall man sport. So I guess I can see why people say that. A lot of people focus on that, and for average Joes, I mean, they don't know how to fight, so to them it's just like, oh well, this guy's big, or this guy looks strong, or whatever, so this other guy's got to lose, right? So to me it's just, that's being said from people that don't understand anything about fighting. They don't get it, they don't understand technique, so that's why they say that, because a lot of people do look big and scary, right? And they'll look big and scary if you don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, and this is one thing that I think probably it probably annoys me talking to people when I picked your fight, because yeah, I actually had you as my lock of the card, and even you being an underdog, it just with even being an underdog and having the stuff that went down with Holland, is that kind of get you have any pressure going into the fight?
No, I try my best not to feel any pressure. I always try to stay grounded. But for I had a long streak of being undefeated before the UFC, and during the beginning of my UFC career, um, and I feel like that helps me. It's kind of helped me not um, put too much pressure on myself, because being undefeated could be a lot of pressure. You're always thinking, oh, when's that first loss going to be, or when's this going to be, or what if this happens, what if that happens, right? Because everybody thinks so highly of you, and unfortunately, with the MMA community, it seems like everybody thinks highly of you until you lose. Right now, there's a bunch of people out there talking mess and saying this and that, you know. But anyways, besides that, I mean, I just feel like my past has given me a good foundation as far as not being nervous, or not feeling like I got all the pressure on me for any reason. I've had practice with that.
For sure. And not wanting to dwell on it, just for the people that don't know, because I do want to talk about it. The health issue that you had when the walkout to Holland. So just quickly walk me through what exactly happened.
So it was a very weird thing. All right. So I was just in the back shadow boxing, and there's not even a lot that I know about it. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh well, he must have been nervous and this and that. He was so nervous he fainted and all that crap, man. Like, for some reason I was, to everybody I was scared or something, right? But anyway, I was just back there shadow boxing, and then all of a sudden, just like me and you were talking right now, it felt like I was just moving around, and then all of a sudden I'm waking up to one of my cornermen saying, "Hey, what's wrong? What happened?" And I'm confused. I almost felt like maybe I got carried out of the cage or something, like something bad happened already, like I had lost the fight, or I didn't know what happened, right? Um, and then they start the medical team's there, and they're hooking me up and stuff, and checking my vitals and all that stuff. They transport me to the hospital, and then apparently one of the medics was saying that my heart rate kept on doing dropping like fast or whatever, right? So there'd be spurts of time where my heart rate would just plummet. Um, so then they hooked me up to a couple of machines. There's a doctor there and everything, and he's taking a look at the machine, and all the nurses start kind of making this like a weird face, right? And I'm talking to one of my cornermen as this is going on, and he says, so I asked him what's going on, right? Like, why are they looking like that, right? And they're like, well, you had a hard block or something like that, a block or something like they called it something like that. And I was like, what does that mean? And then they're like, well, it basically means that I guess in layman's term, I flatlined for longer than usual. They were saying that some people do that. They said some people's heart do that, but it's for a very small amount of time. But mine did it for like too long. But I felt fine and I was talking. So I even asked him, hey, is it something wrong with your machine? And he was like, no. And he was like, it was like, it was you because it did it more than once, apparently. So then they wanted to keep me overnight and kept watching me. And it happened a couple of times overnight and then it just stopped happening. So the doctor told me that he doesn't think that it would be an ongoing thing. He thinks that it's just something was going on with me. But he asked me if it ever happened before, and I told him no. And he says that he doesn't think that it happened again. So I just kind of left it at that, and I was happy with that. So I can train and start getting ready to fight again.
Wow. And then obviously the missing out on Kevin Holland, he likes to fight a lot, obviously. So he moves up and now he's fighting Jack Hermansson, which is at the top of the division. So missing out on that fight, obviously you probably want to fight him somewhere down the line, but missing out on that fight at the moment, how does that affect you?
Um, I mean, at first it pissed me off, to be honest. I feel like with most people, I mean, when things are out of your control like that, it's pretty annoying because there's nothing you can do about it. You know, you can do everything right, and just with the timing of it and everything was really aggravating. And then on top of that, I mean, I felt like I, it seems like he got a little. He got irritated with it too, of course. But instead of just expressing that frustration about not being able to fight, he talked a little crap about me. You know, so that kind of made me mad, and that kind of got me a little emotional. It made me want to. I felt like coming out of the hospital and just being like, "Hey, man, like, we're gonna do this again." Like we're like I've never had a problem with anybody that I fought or anybody that I anticipated fighting, but I felt like me and him were gonna have a big problem behind that. Because that's to me that was just shitty. Like I mean, the guy's laid up in the hospital for overnight. It's not like I'm out there bullshitting or anything like that. So that made me mad initially. Then he ended up getting on there and basically saying he was just pissed off the fight didn't happen, and sometimes and I forget exactly how he says it, but basically he feels like sometimes he's an asshole and he shouldn't have said what he said. So to me, it was just like, all right, whatever. It was a last minute fight anyway. I mean, it wasn't something that was just planned out. But if I see his name on a contract in the future, yeah, I'm definitely going to want that still. It's the competitor in me, and I still do have a little bit of a nasty taste in my mouth about the situation. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's as much as I really have to say about that. I mean, like I said, if we run across each other, I'm fine with it. And if we don't, whatever. I mean, I can squash that. But if he ends up being like in my, if fighting him in the future makes sense, like if he's in my way, then we'll get it done.
For sure. And do you think he gets past Jack Hermansson being at the top of the division? And you're pretty close to being there as well. So do you think he gets past Jack Hermansson?
I think it's an interesting fight, man. Holland does a lot of stuff that, in my opinion, he shouldn't be able to do. Um, but there's something about him that allows him to do it. So it's just one of those things. To me, he's a mystery. I mean, you can watch his grappling, watch some of the stuff that he does. A lot of stuff is very unconventional. And again, I think since it's so unconventional, it kind of works, right? People kind of can't train against that. So, I think it probably throws a lot of people off. But he seems like a slippery kind of guy, right? He can be 100% in a submission and end up squirming out some kind of way and all that. Like to me, looking at his fighting style, it seems like just a big ass scramble. Like just the whole thing is just like it'll get weird at some point in there. So with him and Hermansson, on paper, when you look at it and you look at his style and he should get murdered. I think that Holland should get beat pretty bad. But again, that's on paper. Again, he's able to pull off some weird stuff in fights. So you never know. I mean, he can hurt Hermansson, so we'll just have to see. But I definitely got Hermansson for this one. I don't think it's a good style matchup for Holland. I think Hermansson's pretty disciplined in his technique. I think his cleanliness will win the fight.
Yeah, it's an interesting jump going from Charlie Ontiveros to Jack Hermansson. But to talk about you, man, getting back in the octagon is definitely something got to be on your mind with a huge win like that. You're looking to get back soon, I assume, or is there anything holding you back, or what's the plan for the next time we see you?
No, I don't have anything holding me back. Really, the only thing is being able to spend a little bit of time with my family. So as long as I get that, then I end up feeling good and like kind of rejuvenated. And once I can spend some time with my family and enjoy myself that way. But once I'm done with that and I'm 100% healthy and I'm in good shape and everything, then once that contract comes by me and has somebody's name on it, and me and my management talk about it, then we make decisions from there.
Fight Island, something that intrigues you at all, or?
Oh man, no, I don't really want to fly way out there, man. But I mean, if it's something that just has to happen, it's a good opportunity, then you do what you got to do. But hopefully, I can keep hitting up Vegas, man. I've been loving that so far. The hotels have been nice. We've been having the kitchen and rooms inside of there, so we've been having plenty of space and extra rooms and all that stuff. So hopefully I can. If I could choose, it would be Vegas.
And obviously, this. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time you fought with no crowd in the fight this past weekend. So how
Mhm.
was that whole experience like?
It was it was interesting. I mean, I thought it was going to feel a lot different than what it did. Um, it felt like so it still did kind of feel somewhat like a hard sparring session to me. Um, just because you just got the coaches right there, and that's just what you hear, right? You just hear the coaches. So that aspect of it was it kind of took the weight off of the fight. It seems like it seems like there wasn't that much at stake. It's you're in there practicing, just practicing hard and trying to finish the guy, right? But I mean, I like it though. It still felt like a real fight, but just I guess the crowd definitely adds on a little bit of anxiety, right? Or it's like it plays with your emotion a little bit. You hit somebody and you start feeling the room shaking with everybody yelling and stuff, and that's just a different experience right there. So I definitely love having the crowd there, but without the audience being there, it's been pretty good too. It was a cool experience.
Well, just gonna get you out of here. I just got two more questions for you, but yeah, we talked about it a little bit. We talked about the trash talk, and people love it about MMA. It stems from Connor. It stems from pretty much every sort of testosterone aspect of just men in general. But are you going to see any trash talk in your MMA career? Have you seen any crazy amount of trash talk before, and how do you deal with that?
So, man, for me, I've seen it before. I don't play too much into it. I think that people are messing up the sport a little bit. I think Connor he's great at trash talk. If you're one of those guys and that's just kind of your thing, I'm all for it. Do your thing. And people love to see it. I love to see it. Whenever Connor starts talking to somebody, you just want to hear it. I mean, he's good at it, and it's funny too, especially his accent and everything. But just for so many people to be trying to do that, it just waters it down. It's like, you
Sure.
know, I'd rather everybody just shut up and be sportsmanlike until somebody really has a problem, right? Because then now I feel like that's when you really get that's where the entertainment value really comes in, right? It's because everybody doesn't always have a problem with somebody, and then now all of a sudden somebody has a problem. Like it's real. It's not just faked. It's not like a and not bashing WWE or anything, but it's not that kind of thing. It's not planned out like, oh, well, I'm gonna talk crap. It should be, hey, I don't have a problem with this guy, and then somewhere along the way there's some kind of miscommunication, and now we have a problem, right? Like, I feel like if it was that way, it would be a little more respectable. And I feel like there's nothing that's not entertaining about somebody who's sportsmanlike, but can also say, I'm gonna win.
For sure. And my favorite question to end off on, and I'm going to keep it going, but especially for a person like you, it's showing the knockouts that happen. But for the people who haven't seen your fights yet, what can people expect to see when Trevin Giles steps in the octagon next?
You can always expect to see a finish. I always expect for me to every time I come out, I'm gonna try to be even cleaner and cleaner, and I want my boxing to be the best boxing. I want to have the best boxing, but you're always gonna see clean strikes. You're gonna see some power shots, and you'll see a lot of patience too. So um, you should definitely expect to see a finish. It's going to be exciting regardless because I'm always going to go for the finish. Even if I'm up, I'm not going to bounce around and be waiting on that clock to stop the fight. I'm going to go for that finish. So I think people can be excited for that.
Watch out for that jab. That's going to be up there someday,
Yeah,
man. I'm telling you.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Trevin, for joining. I really do appreciate it, and we're looking forward to seeing you fight again.
All right, man. Thank you.